All right, so I'm recording now. So right now I'm taking this piece, and really, honestly, I think I gave y'all so much of this clay that you could probably make more than one thing. This is Sculpey and it's oven baked Sculpey. Okay, so I'm mashing it together and making making a shape similar to the shape of the soap. Okay, so I'm taking and pushing this together really hard, and I'm making a shape. Now, one thing that we're doing today that is important is we're going to try to figure out what we're going to base the what you're actually going to create. And I suggest that you do something that is right on you. And speaking of hands, the example that I have in the YouTube video is I did a model of my daughter's. I have like a almost 2 year old, and so I did a model of my daughter's hands, of her hand, and that was my example. And it kind of was convenient because it was something that was of scale. That makes any sense? Like meaning that it was close to the right size. So for you, I advise that you. All right. I don't. Go ahead and come on and join. I'm just starting a demo. And hi, I was just asking about Lyra Wood. How you doing? This is Mr. Marcus. I'm in the middle of the demo. I'm recording. If you don't want to be on the screen, you could just mute your camera or whatever. Just kind of pay attention, and we can catch up whenever we get back. So I'm just kind of like mushing this into a shape right now. It doesn't seem like a very sophisticated shape, right? Um, but what I want you to do is to whatever I was doing a model of my daughter's hand kind of in a fist like this, or kind of in a open thing like this. You can see me. I knew I'm in the universe and everything. I can always unmute my background if you're having a hard time. But in sculpting, in some sculptures, one thing you want to keep in mind is that if I was sculpting a hand like this, it's okay to do that, but it is a lot more difficult than doing a hand that's like this or in any position where all of the fingers are touching. And so I advise that we start this first sculpture by modeling, and you can see if this stuff becomes really really hard, go ahead and take little bitty pieces of it and kind of push it together. Now this process of doing adding a little bit, this is called an additive process. Modeling is partially additive. Okay, this kind of clay, my clay is a hair dry. You can moisturize this clay with water just a little bit. um I advise that you save, like, don't try to finalize this. I'd like us to actually keep these as sculptures when we're done. um but think of these as three-dimensional sketches for our carving, because before we start carving this, we want to make sure that we have a really good model that's about the exact same size. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, so we're making a model that's exactly the same size as the thing that we're going to carve. And what that's going to allow us to do is to be able to look at our model and reference the model. And when we mark on the piece of material that we're going to subtract from, we're marking on a piece of material that's the same scale. So right now I'm just kind of smushing this together, and it seems really easy. And that one tool that I gave you, there's one tool in that bag that's like and you can use a kitchen knife, really. Honestly, you can use just about anything. This is a like a wax carving tool, and you could use that for smaller details. But right now, honestly, we're gonna be focusing on like I'm just taking it and doing that. You can see how I made some of that happen there. Like I'm doing some of the parts of the knuckle, but I'm not really getting into too much detail yet. I'm really just trying to make the general form in the volume of the hand. So we're doing this from observation, which means we're looking at the object and we're modeling the piece based on the object. We might be just shrinking it down a little bit because obviously this piece of soap is not big enough and the clay is not big enough to do a hand that's the size of your hand. But let's take that and start modeling our hands from observation. So, most of the class today, I want you to be doing this. And you'll see, I'm just starting this, but you'll see kind of where I'm getting with it. It's like, it's starting to happen here. So, now that I showed you that, okay, and I can start doing the inside of the hand here. One thing that you want to be careful of is look at how big this soap is and look at the object from this way. Make sure you're not making it too much fatter than the soap because then you're going to get confused later. Okay. The second thing I want to do is I want to go back to the website and I want to show you before we get into more. I want to show you. This is the video where I show the carving. This was something I did last year. And then I'm going to bring you to my website just because I want to show you. This is my artist website. And I wanted to show you some of the carving that I have. So this is a statue of St. Peter Claver at St. Peter Claver Church in the Treme. And so you'll see here that like a lot of this is a almost to life size piece, but a lot of the pieces like this hand, the all of the fingers here, they're all kind of connected easier, like I guess together. And so it makes it to where there's not anything that's hanging on.
Uh,
Yep. Can you not see?
yeah, I can't see.
Okay. Let me see. I can change the view here. Oh yeah, I know what's going on. Sorry about that, y'all. So these sculptures are from. I did these almost 10 years ago. So these are at St. Peter Claver Church in Treme, and I had to do clay models of these first because I needed to know all the information first. And if anything needed to get changed, it could be changed in clay first, right? Because these are marble pieces. And so once they're in marble, you can't really go back into them and change anything. So these are all saints. This is Henrietta. Well, Henrietta DeLeo is not really a saint yet. I'm sure she was can't. She may be up for being a saint. This is Saint Catherine Drexel, and this is Saint Peter Claver, who's like the patron saint of slaves. Um, so these this one is almost life size. These are a little bit smaller than life. They're almost like half size, I would say. Um, and so you could see how everything is connected here. This is a shot from the street. You can see this is on the corner of St. Philip and North Prior. If you ever are in the French Quarter or close by the French Quarter, they're not horribly far. This is ceramic. Um, that piece of ceramic. But I just wanted to show you that. And then second, if you are wondering about, I guess next steps, this video I go into the same thing that I'm going into right now with you about modeling the clay, and then this is some of the soap that I started carving. But we don't need to really watch that today. Um, this second, I'd rather you work from observation and just look at your hands and focus on making your particular piece. I wanted to make sure you knew, what modeling was. A lot of times, like when they say armature here, armature is usually like a wire structure that a piece is on, to give it some kind of structural support. We're not really using that with this clay. We're just doing pure clay. And the clay, what I'd like to do is, when we are done, I'd like to cook these in the oven if your parents at home don't mind cooking them in the oven. And so there's a way to do that. But first, for today, I don't want to rush this part. I want it to be done right on your end anyway. So as much detail as you could put into it in scale that you could put, I found that doing a position of the hand like this is really kind of nice, or doing a fist. Now, you may have to make it smaller than this. This one, I kind of have the hand going out. You can kind of see what I have started. And like I said, um, this it's gonna get a little bit easier to work with the more you work with it. The heat from your hands will help you mold this, and then also if it becomes really really hard to deal with, then you can soften it a little bit. I will warn you that this gets messy if you start adding a lot of water. It's not the same thing like a regular clay. This is Sculpey. It's really good modeling clay. Um, I think it's probably the better of the modeling clays for something that you're going to put in the oven. Um, so I would like to keep the model. Like it would have been nice if I didn't keep the models for those big statues because it was just too much armature in there. But you can see I'm starting here to the outside, and then like I said, you can pinch a little bitty bit and add some clay to some areas. And this is pretty self, explanatory on that part. But generally speaking, the idea behind this is that you're making this close to the same size. You can see how mine is getting a little bit bigger than this bar soap, and we want to correct that by, making this a little bit smaller. So you want to scale it to this. Because obviously we're going to take out this little Dove logo. We don't need that. And if you were inclined to make another piece that goes with this, you can get another piece and make, something that connects. Um, but for today, I really want you to focus on looking at this from real life. You're not looking at a photograph, you're looking at your own hand and modeling and just starting that way. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? All right. Let me make sure I got. So there's no Ingrid here. Denvero, no Ingrid. And no Lauren Reese Johansson. Okay. All right. So let's just get started. And what I would like to do is to stay. I'm going to stop recording. Oops. I'm going to stop recording and I am going to so like I'm just I just took a paper towel and I dampened it, and then I'm putting it inside of my. Well, first of all, if you have a to-go container that you can fit your piece in, by all means, that's a way better way of storing it because the to-go container can be a surrounding thing around this, so it's not like you're not touching any side of it. I don't have one right in front of me, so I'm gonna take this. I think I actually do have a yogurt container I'll go get, but I'm gonna put this in here for now, and then for now I'm gonna carefully put the leftovers in there as well. But I dampen that paper towel to keep it moist, and I'm gonna get all the air out of the bag. So you want to like make sure all the air is out of your bag, and then I'm gonna zip it up. I said this earlier for something completely different today in class, but treat it like a bag of potato chips that you don't want to go stale. Essentially, just treat it like that. And so next class, like I said, if you wanted to, I'm just going to give you an example because I might use a different soap. There's this soap that Whole Foods says sells. It's called Good Soap or something, and it's kind of square, but some of them are kind of scented. This Dove soap is in this shape. So if you do have a different soap and you want to use it, go ahead. You can totally use that for your carve piece. But next class, I'm going to go over how we're going to mark this with our tools and draw onto the soap before we start carving it. And our this the point of this is to give us a model, but also before Thanksgiving we'll fire this in the oven, maybe with our parents' supervision so we don't mess up the oven. But it's like it should, if you can manage to push the little, like I said earlier, because somebody had cracks in the clay, to if you start getting cracks to like, I took a little bitty bit of this and I started like smushing it together when I started having a crack. Like I know right here in the thumb area I started having cracks, and so I smushed it more, and I added, in some cases I took little bitty bits of clay like that, like little bitty bits, and kind of balled it up and pushed it into the crack and kind of smoothed it out a little bit. But then I use my this little tool here to kind of smooth out some of the areas. So this is kind of how I made some of the details here. I kind of used a little tool. And before next class, if you want to try to put some more details into your piece, like your fingernails and stuff like that, you can see I have some fingernails on mine. But if you wanted to try to play with that before next class, it's cool. These little spatula tools, that's really what this modeling part is for. So even though this is a carving class, modeling is super important to just starting the process. All right. So our class like normally goes till 6:30, but I'm gonna let you go now. But just again, remember the keep your piece moist before before you put it back. I put a little piece of paper towel with damp with some water on it, and kind of not like dripping wet, but a damp paper towel, and then I'm gonna seal it up. All right. So feel free to use that website and um, email me if you have a problem. I'm gonna put my email on there if you need it. If y'all all should already have my email. So just email me if you have a problem. And yeah, it was good having you for the first class, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Just remember the week after next is going to be Thanksgiving holiday. All right. All right. I hope y'all had fun. I know that we're just it's almost like we're playing with Play-Doh at first, but it's really it was fun for me. I had fun playing with the clay. So yeah, I will see you next class at 4:30. Have a good night. All right, y'all. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye. Thank
All
you.
right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for this class.
All right, no problem.
This is for the three the 3D workshop non-credit. Um, this is for our soap carving project. We're modeling first, and this is oven baked clay. So we took the oven baked clay and we modeled from observation using our hands as models. And we're just using this one tool. And so this will be our 3D sketch, our 3D model that we're gonna use to do our soap carving. And this is just what we started on today. First day of class.